Next, I'm going to show you how to set up a live gait analysis that you can use to assess your runner's unique form, show you some key things to look out for so that you can check for some of the most common running mechanical errors that can be made that we can fix with our specific strengthening and treatment protocols. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to set up 3 cameras. If you don't have 3 cameras, that's okay. It's just going to take you a little bit longer to get all the angles that you're looking for. But if you have 3 cameras that you can use, cell phone cameras work great for this. We're going to want to set up 3. One over here at the rear of the treadmill that our runner is using. We're going to set up our second camera here at the side angle of where our runner is going to be running. This camera should be about hip height. So we're going to raise up this camera to be in line with our runner's hips. And finally, we're going to place our third camera over here at the front of the treadmill. And this is going to capture the front view of the runner as they're doing their gait analysis. Once you're all set up, you can bring your runner in and get them going. Next, we're going to take you through a live demonstration of a gait analysis, the transition from walking to running. We're going to start off by turning on our treadmill here for our model Danny and start off just at an easy walking pace. So as Danny's walking, what we can see are these 2 distinct phases of our walking gait. The first being the stance phase, where his foot is making contact with the ground, and the swing phase, where his foot is lifting off of the ground before coming into contact again. Again, during that stance phase of our gait, we have 3 distinctive separate phases within that. We have our contact phase, which is where his heel is making contact with the ground. We have our mid-stance phase, which is where his weight is shifting forward on that leg. And then we have the propulsion phase, where his toe is pushing him off the ground before entering that swing phase. Now, one of the distinct features of walking compared to things like faster running is that there's no airborne phase here. Both feet are making contact with the ground at the same time in between each step. Now, as we increase our speed to a slightly faster walk, what you're going to see is that there's a natural transition point where Danny starts to run. Now, this is going to be a little bit different for everybody, but for most runners, it's going to take place at around 4 miles per hour. So see how at a certain point, it just becomes more comfortable for him to start running because the speed of the steps that we would need to take, the cadence of our steps, just starts to put a little bit too much strain on our calf muscles. Therefore, we naturally are going to make that transition to running. So now here we have Danny at a slow running pace. We'll see again, there's no airborne phase here. Slow running is characterized as running that doesn't have an airborne phase. So throughout this gait cycle, both of his feet are still making contact with the ground at the same time. Before lifting the next foot off the ground, his other foot is still touching the treadmill. But we can still see that our overall gait is going to have those 2 separate phases of stance and swing. Now, as we get going a little bit faster, eventually we're going to start to see that airborne phase begin to come through in Danny's running gait. Now, as we start to run a little bit quicker, we're going to see that there's a specific point in time when we do have that airborne phase start to show up. Both feet are going to be off the treadmill at the same time before he's making contact on that next swing. And of course, as we start to run faster, the airborne phase becomes a little bit more pronounced. His stride length is becoming longer. And you can see that there are small differences in the overall running mechanics that are happening here. So there's some really interesting distinctions that we can make between walking, slow running, and fast running, and use that to understand our runner's form and gait a little bit more clearly.
If you found this video useful and want to see more like this, make sure you subscribe below and don't forget to hit the notification bell.